The unexpected visitor. The first warning came as a distant rumble that rattled the hydroponics dome Sarah Chen had spent 3 years perfecting. "Not again," she muttered, as she adjusted the environmental controls protecting her rare medicinal specimens. The remote colony of Haven's Edge experienced atmospheric disturbances frequently enough, but this sound was different, a controlled descent rather than nature's chaos. Sarah stepped outside her modest prefab dwelling, squinting against the harsh sunlight of the twin suns overhead. A metallic glint caught her eye as a small shuttle executed an erratic landing pattern before disappearing behind the ridge half a kilometer away. "Trouble," she whispered to herself. "Always finds its way even to the edge of the galaxy." 6 years since she'd left the Colonial Medical Corps, traded her officer's uniform for simple work clothes and the crushing responsibility of battlefield triage for the quiet cultivation of healing plants. Yet her instincts remained sharp as ever. The proximity alarm chimed softly from her wrist unit. Someone approaching. Sarah slipped back inside, reached beneath her workbench and retrieved the pulse pistol she'd promised herself she'd never need again. Her hands remembered the weight perfectly. A shadow fell across her doorway. A figure stood there, leaning heavily against the frame. Sarah's breath caught. The visitor's skin was a striking violet hue, characteristic of the Proxinian species but rare this far into human territory. What commanded Sarah's medical attention, however, was the darkening stain spreading across the visitor's torso. Unmistakably blood, even with its unusual purple tint. "Dr. Sarah Chen," the stranger said, voice melodious despite obvious pain, "former Chief Medical Officer, 7th Expeditionary Force." The visitor's eyes, startlingly blue against violet skin, swept the room with tactical precision before returning to Sarah's face. "Your reputation for discretion precedes you. You have me at a disadvantage," Sarah replied, keeping the pulse pistol visible but lowered. "Cooper," the stranger offered, wincing as she shifted her weight. "Professional problem solver." Sarah recognized the euphemism, mercenary assassin. "Perhaps worse, you're injured." Cooper's mouth twisted into something between grimace and smile. "Observant. That's good. What do you want from me?" "Sanctuary," Cooper said, "and perhaps your considerable medical expertise. I seem to have acquired an inconvenient laser wound and several extremely determined pursuers. I left that life behind." Sarah replied firmly, "I don't involve myself in conflicts anymore." Cooper swayed slightly, composure cracking momentarily. "The Colonial Security Forces will be here within hours. Commander Rena herself leads the pursuit." Sarah felt ice in her veins. Aria Rena. The same commander whose brutal efficiency had led to the catastrophe on Encelius Prime. The reason Sarah had abandoned her career and sought anonymity on this distant world. "Why are they after you?" "Because I know things." Cooper's voice dropped to a whisper. "Things that could prevent another Encelius." Sarah's resolve wavered. The memories flooded back. Triage tents overflowing, supplies depleted, civilians caught in crossfire. All because Rena had decided acceptable casualties were merely statistics. "I don't trust you," Sarah said. "Wise," Cooper replied, then collapsed. Forward, Sarah moved instinctively, catching the mercenary. Before she hit the floor, medical training overrode caution as she assessed the wound. A precision shot through the lower abdomen, serious but survivable with proper treatment. Outside, the distant whine of approaching security shuttles carried on the wind. Sarah made her decision. "If you're lying to me," she said, already gathering medical supplies, "I'll turn you over to them myself." Cooper's eyes fluttered. "Fair enough," she whispered, "but I'm not." Sarah began cutting away the blood-soaked fabric around the wound. "Let's keep you alive long enough to find out." "Reluctant alliance, hold still," Sarah hissed as Cooper flinched beneath her hands. "This isn't exactly field medicine with military-grade equipment. Your bedside manner could use improvement," Cooper replied through gritted teeth as Sarah extracted laser fragments from the wound. "Has anyone mentioned that?" Sarah pressed deliberately harder than necessary, making Cooper inhale sharply. I save my charm for patients who don't bring government death squads to my doorstep. The medical scanner showed the internal damage was significant but repairable. The mercenary had been fortunate. The shot had missed major organs, but blood loss remained concerning. Outside, distant engines grew louder, then faded as patrol craft circled the settlement. Perimeter, they would begin ground searches soon enough. "Why is Commander Rena personally leading your pursuit?" Sarah asked as she activated the tissue regenerator. "You must be exceptionally important or dangerous." Cooper's eyes locked with hers. "Both," she admitted, though not for the reasons Rena believes. The mercenary's skin seemed to shimmer under the harsh medical lights, the purple tone shifting with each labored breath. Sarah tried to remain clinical, but couldn't help noticing the graceful lines of Cooper's face despite her obvious exhaustion. "I worked as a covert operative for the Colonial Security Forces," Cooper explained, wincing as the regenerator stimulated cell growth. "Special assignments, infiltration, information gathering. Occasional targeted removal of problems. An assassin when necessary." Cooper didn't blink. "I'm not seeking absolution." Dr. Chen just understanding. Sarah finished sealing the wound and administered antibiotics and pain suppressants. "Why defect now?" "Crisis of conscience?" Cooper attempted to sit up, but Sarah firmly pushed her back down. 3 weeks ago, I was assigned to eliminate a scientist, Isabel Kieran, Research Division 7. Sarah froze. Kieran, the foremost expert on interspecies diplomacy. The very same. Cooper's voice grew softer. "I was told she was selling military secrets to the Sori Federation, providing them with defensive vulnerabilities. Justification for her elimination seemed sound. But I always verify my targets independently." Cooper's eyes darkened. Kieran wasn't a traitor. She discovered something, Operation Sunfall, a manufactured border incident designed to provoke war with the Sori. Sarah's mind raced. War would mean billions in military contracts, and conveniently, silence critics of the military expansion program. Cooper nodded. "When I refused the assignment and tried to warn Kieran, they marked us both for elimination. They got to her first." A crash outside made them both tense. Sarah peered through the blinds. Seeing armored figures moving between dwellings, CSF ground teams, she whispered. "They're searching the settlement. We need to move." Cooper attempted to stand, swaying dangerously. "You've lost too much blood." Sarah argued. "You need at least 12 hours before." "We don't have 12 minutes, Cooper interrupted. "They'll start with a thermal scan. Your dwelling will be first given its isolation." Sarah made a swift decision. The hydroponics dome. The irrigation system masks heat signatures. "It's how I grow Talaxian orchids in this climate." Cooper looked impressed. "Resourceful. I didn't survive 3 colonial conflicts by being careless." Sarah gathered essential supplies and medications. "Can you walk?" "I'll manage." They slipped through the rear exit and moved carefully between structures. The artificial twilight created by Haven's Edge's atmospheric dome provided some cover. "Dr. Chen," a stern voice called from behind them. Sarah turned, slowly, finding herself facing a squad of colonial security forces led by a tall woman with cold eyes and commander insignia, Commander Rena. Sarah acknowledged, keeping her expression neutral. "This is unexpected." "Is it?" Rena's gaze was piercing. "We're pursuing a dangerous fugitive. Have you seen any strangers today?" Sarah felt Cooper tensing beside her, ready to fight despite her injury. "Only yourself, Commander," Sarah replied evenly. "I left the service years ago. I keep to myself." Rena studied her. "The fugitive is injured." "Possibly. Seeking medical assistance. Your background makes you an obvious resource." "I treat local farmers for heat stroke and broken bones," Sarah said. "If your fugitive appeared, I would certainly report it. We'll need to inspect your dwelling." Rena gestured to her soldiers. "And your companion?" Rena's eyes narrowed on Cooper, whose violet skin was partially concealed by a medical cloak. "My assistant," Sarah said smoothly. "Kai helps with the hydroponics. We're transferring sensitive specimens if you'll excuse us, Commander. The atmospheric controls require precise timing." Something dangerous flickered in Rena's expression, but protocol still constrained her. Without evidence, she couldn't detain a former decorated officer. "We'll speak again, Dr. Chen." Rena promised soon. As they continued toward the dome, Cooper whispered, "She recognized me." "Yes," Sarah agreed, "which means we have very little time." Dangerous truths. The hydroponics dome hummed with artificial life as Sarah sealed the entrance behind them. Emergency lighting bathed the jungle of medicinal plants in an eerie blue glow. "Impressive," Cooper murmured, scanning the intricate system of tubes and environmental controls. "Your own private ecosystem. Necessity," Sarah replied, checking the security monitor she'd installed after the first colony-wide inspection. "Most medicines don't survive interstellar transport without degrading. This way we're self-sufficient." Cooper leaned against a growth tank, her breathing labored despite attempts to hide it. "Always planning for the worst-case scenario, Dr. Chen." "Experience taught me there's usually no other kind," Sarah noticed, fresh blood seeping through Cooper's bandages. "Sit before you collapse, the regenerator needs time to work." The mercenary complied, settling onto a workbench among flowering Terran herbs. "How long were you on Encelius Prime?" Sarah's hands stilled. 6 months, 2 weeks, 4 days. The precision of her answer revealed everything. "You counted every second." Sarah administered another round of antibiotics, avoiding Cooper's gaze. 2,417 patients under my care during the evacuation. 762 didn't make it. Cooper's voice softened. "That wasn't your fault. Rena ordered the civilian transports delayed to prioritize weapons shipments." Sarah looked up sharply. "How could you possibly know that? Those orders were classified. I told you I was special operations." Cooper winced as she shifted position. "I had access to restricted communications. I saw what really happened. I know Rena sacrificed those civilians to advance her career." Outside, the dome security forces moved through the settlement with methodical precision. Their voices carried faintly through the reinforced walls. "We have perhaps an hour before they conduct a detailed scan." Sarah calculated. "The irrigation system masks our heat signatures but won't fool dedicated equipment." Cooper nodded. "Then you should hear everything." She withdrew a small data crystal from a hidden compartment in her boot. Operation Sunfall isn't just about war profiteering, it's about reshaping galactic politics. The crystal projected documents between them: military orders, deployment schedules, weapons specifications. "The Colonial Council's moderate faction has been gaining influence," Cooper explained. "They're pushing for peaceful expansion, cooperation with non-human species, preservation of indigenous rights. All terrible for business if you're selling planetary defense systems." Sarah studied the evidence, her scientific mind quickly grasping the implications. A manufactured conflict with the Sori would swing public opinion back toward militarization. "Exactly," Cooper confirmed. "False flag attacks on our border colonies blamed on Sori militants. Rena leads, the response casualties are inevitable, but necessary sacrifices for security, just like Encelius," Sarah whispered. "On a much larger scale." Cooper's voice hardened. "Millions would die in the initial conflicts, billions if it escalates to full war." Sarah paced among the plants, processing the information. "And you have proof? Actual evidence linking Rena and her superiors to this conspiracy?" "Enough to trigger an independent investigation. At minimum, it would freeze the operation." Cooper gestured to the data crystal. "That's what makes me so dangerous. They can't risk this information reaching the Colonial Council." Their conversation was interrupted by a proximity alert from Sarah's security system. "They're approaching the dome," Sarah said, grabbing essential supplies. "We need to move. There's a maintenance tunnel beneath the cultivation beds. It leads to the colony's water reclamation facility." Cooper attempted to stand but swayed dangerously. Sarah caught her, their bodies pressed momentarily together. The mercenary's skin radiated unusual warmth against Sarah's hands. "Your fever's rising," Sarah said, concern overriding caution. "The wound is fighting the antibiotics." "I'll manage," Cooper insisted. though her eyes had difficulty focusing. The sound of the dome's exterior access being overridden eliminated further options. "They're here," Sarah whispered, helping Cooper toward the concealed tunnel entrance. As they disappeared beneath the cultivation beds, the dome's main door hissed open. Sarah heard Commander Rena's distinctive voice. "Search everything. The fugitive is here somewhere. Dr. Chen has always been too soft-hearted for her own good." In the narrow maintenance tunnel, Sarah guided Cooper through darkness lit only by emergency strips. "Why did you come to me?" Sarah whispered as they crawled through the confined space. "There must be other safe harbors for someone with your connections." Cooper was silent for so long, Sarah thought she might have lost consciousness. "Because you were there," Cooper finally answered. "On Encelius. You saw what they're capable of. You chose patience over politics and..." Her voice grew softer. "Because I've watched your file for years. You left everything behind rather than compromise your principles. That kind of integrity is rare." "Dr. Chen," Sarah, she corrected without thinking. "If we're fugitives together, you might as well use my name." Cooper's laugh was barely audible. "Sarah, then." The mercenary's hand found hers in the darkness, their fingers interlacing briefly. "I'm Aya, not Cooper." "That's just an operational designation." "Aya," Sarah repeated, feeling an unexpected intimacy in knowing the mercenary's true name. Behind them, security forces discovered the tunnel entrance. Shouts echoed through the narrow passage. "We need to move faster," Sarah urged. "The water facility connects to the colony's outer perimeter. If we can reach the wilderness beyond, we might find shelter with the boundary farmers." "Lead the way." "Sarah," Aya replied, her voice determined, despite her weakening condition. "I'll follow." The pursuit dawn broke over Haven's Edge's rugged terrain as Sarah and Aya emerged from the reclamation facility exhausted and hunted. Their footprints left, betraying marks in the red soil as they pushed toward the boundary farms. "We need to rest," Sarah insisted, noticing Aya's deteriorating condition. "Your wound is worsening." "Can't stop," Aya mumbled, her purple skin now alarmingly pale. "Rena never gives up a pursuit." They found momentary shelter in an abandoned equipment shed. Sarah immediately checked Aya's wound, finding angry inflammation around the edges. The laser carried a tracking pathogen, Sarah realized with horror. "Military grade. They're not just following our trail, they're following your infection." Aya's eyes widened. "Clever. I should have expected that. I can neutralize it, but I need supplies." Sarah looked around desperately. "We need to find Kai." "Your assistant?" Aya asked, confused. "Not my assistant, my former combat medic from Encelius." Sarah explained. "He operates the boundary farm 3 kilometers east, grows specialized medicinal plants for me. After what happened on Encelius, he trusts the military even less than I do." They moved carefully through fields of alien crops, reaching a modest compound as midday approached. A tall figure with cybernetic enhancements worked methodically among strange flowering plants. "Kai," Sarah called softly. The man turned instantly, alert weapon appearing in his hand, before recognition dawned. "Sarah? What trouble follows? You now?" Sarah supported Aya, who was barely conscious. "She has information that could prevent another Encelius, but Rena is hunting us." Kai's expression hardened at the commander's name. Inside quickly, within his reinforced bunker-like home, Kai helped treat Aya's infection. The mercenary drifted in and out of consciousness as Sarah worked. "She came to you specifically?" Kai asked, watching Sarah's careful ministrations. "She says she's been tracking my career. Knew I would understand the stakes." "And do you?" Sarah nodded. "If her information is accurate, it's worse than Encelius, much worse." Kai studied her. "You care for her. It's more than professional concern." Sarah didn't answer, continuing her work with practiced precision. When she finished, she gently brushed violet hair from Aya's forehead, an unmistakably tender gesture. "Rest," Kai said. "I'll monitor the perimeter." That night, as Aya's fever broke, she awoke to find Sarah sleeping in a chair beside her. Their hands somehow intertwined. "Sarah," she whispered. The doctor woke instantly. "How do you feel?" Better. Aya smiled weakly. You saved me again. Don't make a habit of needing rescue, Sarah replied, though her expression was soft. Aya's fingers tightened. Around hers, in my line of work, connections are dangerous. Caring for someone is a liability. Her voice lowered. I've never allowed myself that weakness. And now? Sarah asked. Now I understand why people risk everything for it. Aya pulled Sarah closer, their faces inches apart. Thank you for reminding me what matters. Their kiss was gentle, exploratory. A moment of tenderness amid chaos. A proximity alarm shattered the moment. Rena Kai confirmed from the security station. 2 squads approaching, from the south. Aya struggled to sit. We need to reach the communications array at the colony's northern ridge. It's our only chance to broadcast the evidence. You're not fully recovered, Sarah protested. No time. Aya countered, determination in her eyes. Help me stand, we finish this together. The final stand. The communications array loomed against the alien sky, its massive dish aimed toward the stars. As Sarah, Aya, and Kai approached, exhaustion threatened to overwhelm them. Perimeter. Sensors. Kai warned. Will be detected the moment we breach the fence. How long to transmit the data? Sarah asked Aya. 3 minutes minimum. The mercenary replied. Longer to ensure it reaches multiple Colonial Council members. I'll create a diversion. Kai offered. Draw their forces east. Give you time. Sarah embraced her old friend. Be careful, always am. He smiled grimly. Unlike some medics I know. As Kai disappeared into the undergrowth, Sarah turned to Aya. Ready? The mercenary nodded. Their eyes held a moment, communicating everything words couldn't express. They moved swiftly through the fence, Aya's expertise making quick work of security measures. Within minutes, they reached the control center. Cover the door, Aya instructed, as she began bypassing transmission protocols. This will take precision. Sarah positioned herself, watching for pursuers. As Aya worked, Sarah studied her, the graceful efficiency of her movements, the determined set of her jaw, the way her violet skin caught the light. Almost there, Aya announced. 30 more seconds. Footsteps approached. Sarah raised her weapon. Step away from the console, Commander Rena ordered, appearing in the doorway, flanked by soldiers. It's over. Too late. Aya replied as the transmission indicator flashed green. Evidence of Operation Sunfall is broadcasting to every council member, fleet admiral, and independent news network. The full conspiracy. Your orders, the casualty projections, everything. Rena's face contorted with rage. You have no idea what you've done. The Sori are a threat that must be contained. The only threat I see is people like you, Sarah said, stepping forward, who count lives as acceptable losses. Always the idealist, Dr. Chen. Rena sneered, raising her weapon. Unfortunately, neither of you will live to see the consequences of your interference. I wouldn't. A new voice interrupted. Kai appeared behind Rena's squad with reinforcements. Boundary farmers carrying improvised weapons. The colonists have heard the transmission too, Commander. Kai explained. They're not happy about being sacrificed for political gain. The standoff stretched taut until Rena's communicator chimed an urgent message from Colonial Command. Her expression shifted from confidence to disbelief. This isn't over, she hissed, lowering her weapon. Withdraw, she ordered her troops. As Rena's forces retreated, Sarah turned to Aya, who had collapsed against the console. Hey, stay with me, Sarah urged, cradling the mercenary. It's done, we won. Aya smiled weakly. We did. Her hand reached for Sarah's. What happens now? Now you rest, Sarah said softly. Then when you're stronger, we figure out what comes next. Together if you want. Aya's eyes held Sarah's. I've spent my life running, fighting, surviving. I'm not sure I know how to just live. I could teach you, Sarah offered. I'm still learning myself. I'd like that, Aya whispered. Kai approached. Colonial security forces are withdrawing. Council representatives are inbound. Apparently Operation Sunfall has created quite the political earthquake. Will they come after us? Sarah asked. Eventually, maybe. Aya answered honestly. But we'll have warning and allies now. As sunrise painted, Haven's Edge in golden light. Sarah and Aya stood together at the colony's edge, looking toward the wilderness beyond. It won't be easy, Sarah cautioned, building something new. Aya's fingers intertwined with hers. The worthwhile things never are. Their silhouettes merged against the alien landscape. Two souls who had found each other amid galactic conspiracy. Both forever changed by dangerous truths and unexpected connection. Where should we go? Sarah asked. Aya smiled a genuine expression that transformed her face. Somewhere we can both heal, somewhere we can start again. Together they walked into an uncertain future, but for the first time in years, neither walked alone.